Anthony Yarde fights nothing but bums. Who is Anthony Yarde? Anthony Yarde is a British prospect, really a British contender at this point. With the guy has over 15 professional fights. Now, why do I come on here and call out Anthony Yarde and say he's fighting nothing but bums? Because Anthony Yarde is a light heavyweight prospect that is getting a lot of hype up there in the UK. He is promoted by Frank Warren, and he's getting a lot of hype. A lot of people look at him and they think he's a very skillful guy. Look at the way he moves. He fights like I saw somebody once say he fights like Floyd Mayweather Jr. He has that defensive style. So they try and big him up like he's some sort of big shot. But the problem with Anthony Yarde is he has a shit resume. He has an absolute shitty resume. Now, almost a year ago on my original channel, my McGregor channel, I made a video saying Anthony Yarde is going to be the next Deontay Wilder. If you guys remember, on my original channel, I made a video saying Anthony Yarde will be the next Deontay Wilder because he's fighting nothing but these shitty opponents. Well, since then, Anthony Yarde has had like about 3 to 4 more fights, and he's still going down that shitty path of fighting these shitty fights. He's fighting a guy that I'm not even going to pronounce his name. And next, and this guy is a bum. I saw his resume. It's a straight up bum fight. He fought a guy named Tony Avalant prior to that. The guy had 9 losses. If you just look at this guy's resume, this guy has one of the shittiest resumes in boxing. Now, almost a year ago, I made a video saying that Anthony Yarde was one of my top British prospects, and he is. I do believe Anthony Yarde has talent. But what I don't like about Anthony Yarde is his level of opposition. This guy is fighting nothing but bums. This is going to be his 16th professional fight, and he's fighting nothing but bums. Let's compare him to someone like Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor is about to face Victor Postol later on this month. Now, Josh Taylor has less professional fights than Anthony Yarde. I believe Josh Taylor has 12 professional fights, and Josh Taylor has already been in there with guys like Miguel Vasquez, I believe. Yeah, Miguel Vasquez, O'Hara Davies, and now he's about to fight a former champion in Victor Postol. Yet Josh Taylor has 4 fights less than someone like Anthony Yarde. Yet Anthony Yarde is still fighting guys you're supposed to be fighting in your second pro fight. This guy, like I said, nothing about his resume is impressive. It's all shitty. It's trash. It's bum status. Like I said, when you fight opponents in this level, it doesn't prepare you for anything. When you fight pushovers, guys that go there to basically get their ass whooped for like $500 for that fight or whatever, however much they get paid, you don't learn anything from that. I remember the last time I covered an Anthony Yarde fight, I called the guy a McDonald's employee, or did I call him a Walmart employee, because he was such a shitty opponent. He didn't even try. I forgot the guy's name, but I remember he didn't even try against Anthony Yarde. He was literally just moving around the ring, and he wasn't trying at all. And I was so disgusted, I called him a McDonald's employee. And that was like almost a year ago, and that was a couple of fights ago. But I remember back then criticizing Anthony Yarde. So I've been criticizing Anthony Yarde for about a year. I don't understand why. One thing I noticed about Frank Warren is he seems to feed his fighters shitty opposition. He feeds Anthony Yarde shitty opposition. He feeds Daniel Dubois shitty opposition. He feeds Billy Joe Sanders shitty opposition. He feeds Tyson Fury shitty opposition. So, there's a pattern. He feeds Terry Flanagan shitty opposition. A lot of Frank Warren fighters fight nothing but bums. So it's like Frank Warren just loves feeding his fighters bums. That's one thing I'll say, the difference between someone like Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren when it comes to comparing British promoters, is at least Eddie Hearn has his fighters fight legit guys. Yes, sometimes they're cherry-picked bums. Like the guy Kell Brooks about to fight, he's a bum. But a lot of times he has them fighting top quality opposition. But you compare that to, Frank Warren as a promoter, he be having his fighters fighting nothing but bums, guys me and you never heard of. So I will say that, and when it comes to Eddie Hearn, he does feed his fighters with better quality opposition. This guy seriously has to step up, because what's going to happen is when he finally fights a guy who's world class, he's going to get exposed because he didn't prepare himself to face somebody of that quality, and it's going to backfire on him, and he's going to get exposed. And then people are going to be like, oh, this guy's a bum, he's a hype job. And maybe he wasn't really a bum, he was a good fighter, but he was being fed bums. You know what I'm saying? Look at Chris Eubank Jr. Chris Eubank Jr. was fighting a lot of bums. And look what happened but when he finally fought Joe Groves. He had a hard time in there. So like I said, these things don't help a fighter out, fighting these bums. This guy needs to fight somebody with a post next.